It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. The chapel was glowing. Ivory roses lined the aisles. Sunlight poured through stained glass, and the low hum of an organ filled the air with anticipation. But the moment the bride lifted her veil, the priest dropped the ring box, and what happened after that would leave an entire town whispering for years. Our story takes place in a quiet coastal town in Maine, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and secrets don't stay buried for long. The bride's name was Emily Ward, 28 years old, smart, kind, with that small-town innocence people in movies always try to fake. She'd met her fiancé, Daniel Hale, a local contractor, after he built a porch for her grandmother. From that day, the town swore they were perfect for each other, the kind of couple that made everyone believe in love again. But as you're about to see, not everything that looks perfect is safe. The morning of the wedding, Emily's mother, Carol, remembered something strange. Emily had been pacing her room at dawn, holding a small, folded note. When her mom asked what it was, Emily just smiled and said, "It's something I need to tell him later." That note would never be found again. By noon, the church bells began to ring. Guests filled the pews, and everyone whispered about how beautiful the bride looked. But there was one person who seemed unusually tense: Father Thomas, the priest. A man in his 60s, respected, calm, always steady with his words. But that day, his hands wouldn't stop trembling. He wiped his forehead again and again, even though it wasn't warm inside the church. The choir began to hum the opening hymn. The doors swung open. Emily appeared at the end of the aisle, a vision in white, her veil trailing behind her like mist. Everyone turned to look, except Father Thomas. He was staring down at the ring box, whispering something under his breath. When Emily reached the altar, Daniel took her hand, his thumb tracing circles over her knuckles. A sweet, nervous gesture. Then came the words that should have sealed their love forever. "Do you, Daniel Hale, take Emily Ward?" The priest's voice cracked. Daniel smiled, thinking it was emotion. But then, just as Emily lifted her veil, Father Thomas froze. His eyes widened. The color drained from his face. The ring box slipped from his fingers and hit the marble floor with a sharp, echoing clatter. The guests gasped. The sound of the ring rolling away echoed in the silence. Daniel reached out, confused. "Father?" But Father Thomas couldn't speak. He just stared at Emily's face like he was seeing a ghost. The best man bent to pick up the box, awkwardly chuckling to break the tension. But Emily's expression wasn't calm anymore. Behind the veil, her eyes had changed. Not angry, not fearful. Something else. Almost like she knew exactly what was happening. The ceremony paused for nearly a minute. An eternity of awkward silence. Then, shaking it off, Father Thomas forced himself to continue. "Forgive me," he said quietly. "Let us proceed." But his voice never recovered its steadiness. The rest of the vows felt off, hurried, uncertain. And when it was time to exchange rings, the priest's hands trembled so badly that Daniel had to guide his fingers. After the "I do," the newlyweds walked back down the aisle, smiling for cameras, waving to guests, pretending everything was fine. But behind the scenes, nothing was fine. Father Thomas slipped out the side door the moment the ceremony ended. He didn't stay for photos, didn't bless the reception, didn't even congratulate them. The church coordinator found his Bible still open at the altar and his keys left behind. At the reception, Emily seemed distant. She laughed when she needed to, smiled for pictures, but her eyes were scanning the crowd, like she was waiting for someone. Daniel tried to brush it off, thinking it was wedding stress. But around sunset, when the photographers were wrapping up, one of the catering staff saw Emily standing alone behind the venue, near the edge of the woods, holding that same folded note from earlier. Later that night, as guests danced and drank, Daniel noticed something missing. The wedding rings. He checked his pocket, his jacket, even the tables. Gone. At first, he thought maybe one of the guests took them as a prank. But then he got a text message from an unknown number. It read, "She knows. Don't follow her." Daniel's heart sank. He ran outside, calling Emily's name, but she was nowhere in sight. The parking lot was empty. Her bouquet was lying on the hood of his truck, petals crushed, ribbon damp from the evening dew. He drove around town for hours, stopping at her favorite places, the cafe by the pier, her grandmother's old house, even the church. That's when he saw the police cars. 2 cruisers, parked outside the chapel, lights flashing silently. The front door was open. Father Thomas was sitting on the steps, head in his hands. Daniel rushed up, shouting, "Where's Emily?" But the priest wouldn't answer. One of the officers stepped forward, stopping him. "Sir, we just found something you might want to see." Inside the church, in front of the altar, lay the 2 wedding rings, placed side by side on top of an old newspaper clipping. The clipping was dated 1996. The headline read, "Local girl missing after church fire. Emily Ward, age 8. Daniel stared at it, trying to process the name. That's her name, but... The officer shook his head. "We thought the same thing." He handed Daniel a small, faded photograph. It was a young girl. Blonde, blue eyes, same face. "This girl disappeared 20 years ago," the officer said. "And Father Thomas, he was the one who found her parents' car the night it happened." Daniel turned to the priest, trembling. "What's going on?" Father Thomas looked up slowly, tears streaking down his face. "That girl was declared dead," he whispered. "But I saw her again. Today." The town went into chaos after that. Some said Emily was the same child, grown up, somehow hidden all these years. Others said it was impossible, just a coincidence of name and face. But then the truth started unraveling. Police dug into records and found no official birth certificate for Emily, who had just married Daniel. No hospital record, no school enrollment before age 15. Just an adoption file sealed under court order. Daniel searched everywhere for her. Days turned into weeks. Then one morning he received a letter. No return address. Inside was that folded note she'd been holding. It read, "I remembered everything when I saw his face. Tell them I forgive him." He took the note to the police. They opened a cold case file from 2 decades ago. The one about the little girl who vanished after the fire. The official report said the girl's parents had died in the blaze. The priest at the time, Father Thomas, had tried to save her but couldn't. The body was never found. And now, he was the only one who could explain what happened. Detectives questioned Father Thomas, who was now in the hospital, his health rapidly failing. In his final recorded statement, he said this: "That night in '96, I found her alive in the woods behind the church. She was terrified, burned, barely breathing. I couldn't bear to send her to the orphanage. So I brought her to a couple I trusted, a family far from here. I told them to keep her name. I thought it was Mercy." He coughed, his voice breaking. "But when she walked into my church again grown up, I realized mercy can look a lot like guilt." After that confession, Father Thomas passed away in his sleep. The town held a small vigil, though no one spoke openly about what had happened. The church stayed closed for months. Daniel never found Emily. Her car was discovered 3 towns over, abandoned near a cliff overlooking the ocean. The engine was still warm. Inside, police found her wedding veil, folded neatly on the passenger seat, and a Bible opened to a single verse, Luke 8:17. "For nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed." No trace of her has ever been found. But locals still say that on misty mornings, when the church bells ring, people see a woman in white walking the aisles, barefoot, veil lifted, eyes searching for something only she understands. And sometimes, if you're standing near the altar, you might hear a faint metallic sound, like a ring box hitting marble. Maybe it's just echoes, or maybe some vows never really end. If you like this story and want more haunting true-style tales like it, where love, memory, and mystery collide, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Because next time, we're diving into another real place, another chilling moment, and another secret that refuses to stay buried.